Good morning, everyone. I'm Jim Willis. I'm here for Bill Blonigan, who's not available today. We have a quorum, and with the quorum being determined, I ask for a motion to approve the agenda from some member of the commission.
So moved.
Been moved. Is there a second? There's a second. Any questions on the approval of the agenda? May I have a vote on affirmative to accept the agenda? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next item, we have consent agenda items determined to be normally routine, and there will be no discussion on any of these items unless a member of the commission desires to discuss them. There are three items: approval of the minutes of the November 21 meeting, acknowledge receipt of the minutes of the September 19, 24 Executive Committee meeting, and approval of the Treasurer's report, which is attached to our materials in the agenda. Are there any questions on any items on the consent agenda? Hearing no questions, I ask for a motion to approve the items presented on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the members from the members? And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Next item is designating depositories of the public funds and investments. This is a required item on the agenda every year, required by state law. And it is recommended that we approve that designation as presented here in the report that the executive director has prepared. Are there any issues or questions on the approval of the depositories of our public funds? Hearing none, I ask for a motion to approve the designation of the public funds and investments as proposed.
So moved.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Next, we're making progress, folks. Information items. I'll turn this over to our Executive Director, Shannon.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. And we would like to welcome one new member to Commission service, and that is Mike Ostaffi. He is not a stranger to us. He served as an at-large member since probably last fall, I believe, last fall. He has been newly elected to the Maple Grove City Council, serving his first term. So he will also be joining us representing Maple Grove on the commission. He's been through orientation, and I think you'll be a good fit. Welcome to Commission service.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Next, the strategic plan process.
Yes, sir, Mr. Vice Chair and commission members and board members. Last fall, the executive committee asked us to do a little bit of long-range planning in the first quarter of the year. And so to help us adjust to our declining revenue. We know our declining revenue is not a secret. It's something we've talked about, but we also have a strategic plan that's a little bit outdated. Our last strategic plan expired in 2022, and it was put together before COVID. So of course, a lot of changes in what that plan entailed and what actually took place. So to help us along in this process, I'd like to introduce Al Anka from Aurora Consulting. They are a local consulting group that works with nonprofits mainly in Minnesota. So thank you, Al, for being here. And I'm hoping you can just talk us through what the process is to get to a plan, and most importantly, how our stakeholders in this room will be involved.
Definitely.
So take it away.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. My name is Al Anka. I'm one half of Aurora Consulting. And like Shannon said, we're a local consulting group that works almost exclusively with nonprofits. And my work has a couple different features to it. I do evaluation. I do board development, leadership and culture change work. But a lot of my work is planning and consensus building, and what that looks like is facilitating strategic plan processes. So that's the project that I'm working on with CCX and talking to you a little bit about today.
Next slide.
So I'm a trained and experienced strategic planning group facilitator. What that means is that my work is to plan a process and then facilitate that process with the people that are creating the strategic plan. And so in a moment, we'll look at what that looks like. But in general, that means we're doing collaborative planning workshops. I'm sure a lot of you have been a part of this kind of thing in other parts of your work or life. Our model is to do inclusive and transparent workshops. So what that means is when we get the planners together, we are facilitating a process that is able to gather feedback from everyone that's involved with the plan and then create the plan together. So what we mean by transparent is that this is not a process where people give input and then I go and write a plan. It's a process where the people who are doing the planning write the plan together, they see their results together, and it has a lot of benefits, including creating a lot of excitement and buy-in to accomplishing the plan, which is the real goal. So some of those benefits of collaborative planning, first, it amplifies the expertise of participants. So we want the people who know the most about CCX to be creating the plan for CCX. And so that's why we get them together to do that work, and that's how we think we get the best outcome. We are always modeling inclusive leadership practices. We believe that anyone who's involved in creating a strategic plan is a leader for the organization, no matter where they are in the organization. And we want to model positive and productive collaboration so that as they're working together, they're developing those leadership skills and feel ready to lead the plan once they have it. And then finally, collaborative planning, when people who are going to do the plan are involved in making the plan, it empowers them. They understand the reason, why the plan is the way it is. They have the ability to be creative about how you actually implement the plan afterwards, and they feel like it's theirs. It's something that they want to work on. So for this particular process, we have a couple different participants and roles that are a part of it. So the commissioners and the board, you all here, are providing input, review, and approval. And so before planning begins, CCX staff are going to administer a survey about priorities for the next 3 to 5 years. And that's something that you'll all get communication about and hopefully we'll all participate in. It's something that I've been working on with Shannon and the staff to really get a survey that's easy to do and hit some really key areas that the staff want to hear from you all about. So that'll be your main activity beforehand. There's nothing you need to do other than wait to hear more about it. And then afterwards, after we create the plan, the board's going to review it and approve that plan when finished. So you're there at the beginning, and then you're there at the end. The leadership staff are the ones that are actually going to do the planning. And so we have about 12 or 13 people from CCX who are going to be involved in some way in putting the plan together. They're going to be participating in planning workshops, and they're going to be drafting this kind of 3 to 5 year plan. Afterwards, after the plan's complete, probably after it's approved, they're going to do implementation planning for the first year, and I'll be a part of that as well, facilitating that. So we'll have kind of two pieces. We'll have the big picture strategic plan, which is going to look like a kind of broad strategic plan, maybe you've seen before or done before. And then the details are going to be in this first year implementation plan that the staff will create afterwards. So we've created a strategic question for this process, and the strategic question really just kind of sets the tone and the scope of the plan. This is what we hope our plan helps us with. And so for CCX Media, the strategic question is, in the next 3 to 5 years, how can CCX Media adapt to changes in the media landscape and declining revenue so that we can continue to serve our cities and communities well? That's what we hope to see for CCX Media, and that's what we hope this plan will move us forward with. The actual planning process, like I said, we're going to do some stakeholder engagement, which is primarily with you all. So you'll do that survey in the next month. And then we will do our leadership staff workshops. Those are 2 days of workshops that are going to happen in April. And in these workshops, leadership staff are going to look at what's the current status of CCX? What do we know about what's happening right now? What are the facts on the ground that we need to respond to in order to be successful? Then we're going to look at some kind of broad goals for the next 3 to 5 years. And literally what we're going to be asking is, like, in 2030, like, where do we want to see CCX? What does it look like? What's happening? What does success look like in 5 years? It feels like a long ways away, but that's why we're doing long-term planning. Then we're going to think about barriers. Barriers are things that are standing in the way of our goals that if we don't address them, we have a lower chance of being successful. And then finally, we're going to draft that strategic plan. I call it strategic directions, same thing. We're going to do that together, and when the leadership staff walk out on the second day, they're going to see a draft of that plan up on the wall. They'll have written it themselves, and it will be ready for a little bit of more wordsmithing and then to bring to the commission and boards. So that's the actual strategic plan portion. Afterwards, again, they'll be doing implementation planning, and I'll be around for all of that, helping to do the process management and facilitation. So that's the quick run through of the process, and I just wanted to open it up to see if there are any questions we can answer together about this planning, or also just hear from you. What hopes do you have for this planning and its results? It's something you've all been a part of making happen, getting to this point where we are doing planning. You've probably talked about it before, and I'm interested to hear any questions or hopes that you want to share.
Are there any members here who have questions they'd like to ask at this time, based on the information that we just heard and that's shared? I think we're going to have, each of us will have the opportunities to meet with people, you or others, and the staff, to provide additional input and ideas to the extent that we may have them and desire to share them. So this is an opportunity for everyone over the next period of time to participate. You can do it privately through the executive director, and if you don't have time to have a direct meeting with her or the staff. It's an opportunity to rise to the challenges that we know we're coming to face, given the economic situation of the cable industry, which affects all of us. Okay. Yeah, any other questions or any comments at all with respect to this agenda item? Okay, next, okay, Shannon, next.
All right. Thank you very much, Al.
Thank you.
Next, we have a legal and legislation update with Mike Bradley. Hi, Mike.
Hello, good morning. It's good to see all of you on a getting warmer, maybe, Thursday morning. Yeah, it has been worse, and it's getting better. That's the good news. Well, my legal reports are in your packet. I think you have January and February's legal report. There's actually been a lot going on since we last met in November. I just thought I would go over, just at a very high level, what some of those things are. First, we have a new chairperson at the FCC, Brendan Carr. He was a commissioner before the new administration. Now he's the chair. The old chair has resigned, as is normal when administrations change. And the Trump administration has nominated Olivia Trusty as the third Republican commissioner. There's been some new Department of Justice guidance on complying with the new rules on ADA compliance for city websites and city apps. There's a nice link on the League of Minnesota Cities webpage, so just know that that's there, and you can talk to your IT folks on making sure that you're in compliance with that. Be aware that there may be some opportunities for Office of Broadband Development grants through the state of Minnesota, and that'll be later this year, so Shannon and I will both be having our eyes out for that as well. There was a legal challenge to New York's Broadband Affordability Act. You may remember from past reports that New York passed a law probably about 3 years ago that required broadband operators to provide an affordable level of service to low-income people. And it's, you know, it varies on what those prices are and which broadband providers it applies to, but essentially it's like a $15 a month option for lower income people. That law was challenged in federal court, and it was upheld, and I believe it was taken all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court denied review, denied certiorari. So that is good law, and it's kind of nice to know as we move forward on broadband initiatives that that is something that has passed judicial muster in the past. Also in the courts, the Sixth Circuit rejected the FCC's reclassification of broadband as a telecommunications service and said it is an information service. And just yesterday, some nonprofit groups that were part of that appeal have now asked for a review by the entire Sixth Circuit panel. So an en banc review is what they call it. And we'll see if that is allowed or not allowed, and we'll just keep you updated as we go along. Some news from me, you know, just since we met, I had a chance to go to to Oklahoma City and present to the Oklahoma Association of Municipal Attorneys on broadband franchising and other telecommunications issues for an update there. In the report, I linked you to an article that was published that I wrote in the Municipal Lawyer, which is a publication of the International Municipal Lawyers Association, on municipal broadband franchising. So I encourage you to take a look at that. And then lastly, for those of you that go back, I don't know, 10 or 15 years, maybe a little bit more, there was a government affairs professional for Comcast that kind of served the whole metro area that we worked with for many years, Kathy Donnelly Cohen, and sadly she passed away here earlier this month. But happy to answer any questions that you might have. Otherwise, that's my report.
Thank you. Next is Dave Kaiser, the MACTA legislative efforts.
Good morning. Thanks for the opportunity to give you a little update, and I'll draw your attention to the screen as well, and you have this information in your packet. MACTA has been working hard to inform the communities throughout the state and constituents, overseers about what is going on and the importance of this issue. So a few ways that is being done is we're encouraging systems like ours and other cities across the state to make sure that they have information available like this to tell their story, to make sure everyone is aware of the issue and also of what would be lost if community television went away. So as you see on this sheet, it highlights what CCX Media provides communities and also provides individual local city governments. It talks about how we're accessed by people watching us and how we're funded, and giving people an idea of what's happened over the past 40 years. And then also explains what would be lost again if CCX Media funding continues to go away without a modern solution. So make sure you look at that information again, if you can pass that along to city council, city managers, other staff that you have. We're also trying to make that happen as well. We are meeting with city leadership. So Shannon and I have been out to various cities to talk through some of the legislative priorities as you've had those sessions within your cities. And also we're meeting in different work sessions within the cities. We were just at New Hope earlier this week, and we have others coming. So again, we're trying to get that message out and answer as many questions as possible. The next slide shows you information that has come from MACTA. So again, MACTA is the statewide organization that works with organizations like ours, this Joint Powers Agreement, and also works with various cities throughout the country or throughout the state of Minnesota that, again, feel that transparency in local city government is very important. So we are making sure information like this gets into the hands of the people that need to know. These issues are again related to possible solutions, get that out to systems, also highlight the benefits, threats, and also the legislative solutions. And we also place a special focus on communities where legislative leaders on key committees reside. So again, we know which committees are going to be the important ones this year, and one of the keys is the legacy committees in both the House and Senate. So we have been looking to identify those communities and those cities that need to make sure they connect and make sure those representatives and senators are well aware. We've also been working with the League of Minnesota Cities, so that is a very important cog in what we do, and if any of you have ties into the League of Minnesota Cities, we ask that you talk to Daniel Lightfoot, others within that organization, to make sure that they're aware of how important this issue is. We've been taking communications opportunities with the League of Minnesotas and Minnesota Cities, and Mike mentioned the article, and we've been talking to Daniel Lightfoot to see if that article can get into information from the League of Minnesota Cities. They also have an annual conference that comes up later in the year, and we're looking to see if we can be a part of that annual conference again to continue this message out. The key message there is the franchising, how important that is and how that money is going away, and how the cities own that right-of-way that these cables go through, and that everyone that makes a profit off that should be paying some franchise fees back to the city. So we're trying to make sure that that message get out. Other things we're doing, we're meeting with key legislative leaders to get the bills authored, dropped, and also supported in our area. And again, maybe you have connections with some of these people. Senator Hoffman from the Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center area, Representative Vang from Brooklyn Center, and Representative Freiberg from Golden Valley. So again, those are key people on some of those legacy committees. So if you have contacts with them or others in your communities, might make sure that you have them talk. We're also talking to some of the key committee leaders. And so Senator Eichhorn from Grand Rapids, Representative McDonald from Delano, and Senator Herr from St. Paul. So again, if you have any connections with any of those legislative leaders, we would love to have you talk with them. And if you need a way to talk with them, final point, here is the way to do it. MACTA's Day at the Capitol is coming up on March 13th. That's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and I'm sure we'll be sending out more information. We start at the League of Minnesota Cities. Again, they're a great partner in what we're doing. And then we ask people to head over to the Capitol and talk to their senators, legislators, representatives about this issue. Members are encouraged again to set up appointments. That is a key way to get that done. And then we also will make this available, that morning session, on Teams and Zoom. So if you can't join us at the Capitol, it will be available. So again, that's on March 13th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. League of Minnesota Cities for the start. Head over to the Capitol. I know some of you have joined us in the past. Hope you can do it again. That is the update. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from members of the committees?
I'll just add one thing to Dave's report. I think CCX has really shined in the relationships that we have with our local legislators, where some systems have a hard time getting meetings. We know all of our legislators, and they're willing to go to bat for us. Representative Robbins, Maple Grove, submitted the bill to the revisor's office to be written. Dave and I are going to St. Paul to talk to Senator Warren Limmer this afternoon. Representative Vang, who's chairing the Legacy Committee, she was in our studio, and she was the one that told us she was chairing the Legacy Committee, because that just came out that day. And I was really made me feel good, because she came from St. Paul to be interviewed. She was going back to St. Paul to get back to work, but she made time for us. And so I think it just goes to show the long-term relationship that we have cultivated with our local lawmakers. We don't just see them for forums. We do stories throughout the year. We have them in our building to talk about what they're doing. We send reporters to the Capitol. So CCX Media is really leading the way in this, and I'm very proud of that.
That's very good. That's good news. Any other questions on that? Okay, moving forward. Other items,
We
Shannon.
have a brief commission executive committee meeting after the CCX Media board meeting. And since it's going to be so short, I think, instead of walking across the building, we're just going to walk right across the hall into Studio B. So we have tables set up. We just have to get a few chairs in there, and we'll get that meeting underway. So if you're on the executive committee, you'll just be going right across the hall and not across the building.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything they want to contribute to the discussion of the commission this morning? If not, we'll consider this meeting to be adjourned.
Thank you.
All right, we'll just go right ahead and move right on into the CCX Media Board of Directors meeting. Roll call has already been done. Let's move on to approval of today's agenda. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
All right, with our meetings, we don't need any seconds, so. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Consent agenda items, if anybody would like to remove an item from consent agenda for discussion, now's the time to do that. Hearing none, like a motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 4.
So moved.
All right. We have a motion, and go ahead here, and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Moving on to action items. Number 1, designation of depositories of public funds and investments. Shannon?
Right, this is a housekeeping item that we do every year to designate a depository of public funds and investments, and it is Wells Fargo. The official signatories on the account are myself as executive director and our treasurer, Tim Sandvik. So staff recommends that we designate Wells Fargo as the depository for regular operating funds.
All righty. Do we have a motion in favor of that?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Any conversation or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next action item, resolution accepting donations.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. We are very happy to receive donations at CCX Media, and you have a hefty list on your screen. This is in part due to Give to the Max Day, which was in the last quarter of the year, and also end of the year giving, as well as the last Create Producer Gathering of the year, which always generates a few donations as well. So I'm going to read through these names because they deserve to be read. Alicia Cameron gave 3 times, Robert William Kenny, Lisa Lambert, Catherine Spitzka, Marcia Glick, Bonnie Bolash, Jody Volker, Cindy Olmstead, Jonathan White, Deborah Dabercal-Wright, Linda Valentine, John Sutter, Robert Woods, Eric Margolis, Kevin Vandenberg, Rachel Broughton, Fatima Haji Taki gave twice, Patricia Campbell, Joe Monroe, Al Madsen, and an anonymous donation came in. So staff recommends approval of this resolution to accept these donations.
Excellent. Thank you to everybody who donated, and hopefully just want to extend just a word just saying how important that is, those donations are to our funding our operations, specifically with our particular purpose. So do we have a motion to accept the donations?
Move to accept.
Okay. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Next one, accept annual report. Shannon?
Yes. Mr. President, I'm very proud to present the annual report, and if you are one of our friends who receives a digital copy, please get a paper copy before you leave today. After it's accepted, this report will be posted online, and it will also be sent out to our city managers. We take this to our legislators, and we really use it as a marketing tool. There's a lot of information in the 12 pages that we have compiled here, and I won't read them all for you, but I'm going to hit a few themes and highlights. I really hope that you can see how the work that we do reflects the mission of our 2 organizations. And we don't talk about our mission statement often in this meeting, so I thought it might be a good opportunity just to remind everyone what it is. So the Northwest Suburbs Cable Communications Commission mission is to protect the member cities' constituents' interests as they relate to cable television and other services, especially as the impact rights of way. Protect the franchise fee and the PEG fee for community television and public interest. So there are 2 ways that we uphold that mission, and you'll see those on the next slide. Starting with our consumer advocacy, and this is something that we probably don't talk about as often as maybe we should. You might not realize, but if you are an Xfinity customer in one of your 9 cities, and that means you have cable television or mobile phone or internet, there's only one local phone number on that bill, and it rings here in this building. So you can imagine we get a lot of phone calls, particularly when bills go out. Now, we often it's about listening to what the person has to say, but if it's something that we need to escalate, we can file a complaint for that person. Generally, if it's something infrastructure oriented, we send it through right away. If it's a customer billing issue, we don't have access to any customer information, so we encourage them to work that out with Xfinity. We give them a phone number, but if they still have trouble, then we can go back through and file those. So here's an example of some of the complaints that we took in the last year. A Maple Grove customer had an exposed cable line across their driveway and yard. They were very concerned it was going to trip trick-or-treaters that were coming the next week. A Robbinsdale customer had static interference on their ham radios, and they suspected this came from cable lines, so we helped get that investigated. Brooklyn Park customer concerned that the internet kept disconnecting at their house. They couldn't get that fixed. New Hope resident cannot stop the charges on their deceased spouse account. A Plymouth customer concerned that their new cable line was going to interfere with landscaping. Golden Valley customer who couldn't reach a live agent on a billing concern, and that's just a few of them. We talked to several people who are elderly, several people that English isn't the first language, but everyone is frustrated. Holly takes those calls in the doorway, and if she's not there, I get to talk to those folks. So this is something we don't talk about, but it is a really important part of what we do. So if there's something in your city that this kind of sparks an interest, please send those folks our way. And of course, in the commission, our legislative work and protecting the rights of way, the advocating that we do for that, particularly with supporting franchising broadband, fits in very nicely with our commission mission statement. All right, moving on to CCX Media's mission is to provide comprehensive media services and help others create and disseminate high-quality local content by serving our communities with honesty, professionalism, and integrity. Community television stations all over the state provide local content. It's what we do, and it's what we do well. But I think what separates us from some of our peers is the emphasis on high-quality local content, and that's been just a part of what we do for several years. So on the next slide, I'll give you a few examples of how we produce local stories that you won't see anywhere else, and we produce them well. You won't see an Osseo softball game necessarily anywhere else. Election night interviews, forums, Crystal History Project is also in the upper corner, which was a multi-year project that we did. So these are high-quality local stories you won't see anywhere else. On the next slide, you'll see also that we stand out among our peers, and then we also compete with commercial stations very frequently. I'm really proud of that top box. That was a quarterly contest against stations all throughout the central portion of the United States, so all the way down to Texas, and we swept it with the top 3 spots. So that gave me a big point of pride. Our news photographers are ranked in the top 10 in the country. We received the picture in the bottom corner, which has several of you guys in it. Bob Woods, you said you weren't in the annual report, and your picture is in the annual report. And if you would like a copy of that picture, we have the Brooklyn Park pages just right outside the door, too, several copies. So we were recognized by North Hennepin Community College for our work in the community. And then our volunteer programming is also recognized regionally and nationally. So that's a picture in the bottom of that award ceremony that was over in Wisconsin. So we do what we do, and we do it very well. Now, our content is also widely distributed, and we put in time and effort to do that. If you are involved in internet content at all, you know you can't just put it up on a website or put it on a YouTube channel and expect people to find it. You really have to drive people there, and you have to be a traffic conductor. So we have a traffic conductor, and that is Haley Shervin. She's also known as a digital media specialist. So she's the one working on the back end of our website. She can't do all the work, but she directs everyone in the work that they need to do to make sure our content is seen and readily available. When someone searches for a story in Maple Grove or Brooklyn Park or any of our cities, we want them to find us first. And so we work hard behind the scenes for that to happen. So Haley's going to give us a view of some of our digital reach for the last year. Haley?
Thanks, Shannon. So the folks who don't know me, my name is Haley Shervin, so I am the digital media marketing specialist, so I'm the one behind the scenes. I'm the little magical elf that sits behind everyone, all of our great reporters of what they do. So as Shannon said, you can have all these stories, but someone's got to be able to find them. So I do everything from the website, as you can see, that I'll talk a little bit about, to Facebook. If you sign up for our email marketing that comes in your inbox every day, I get all those stories ready to go, so it comes to your inbox and you can read it on your own time. And then also Instagram is another big thing that I've been working on as well. So for the first part, I will start with the annual report, is our website. So there's a couple different numbers that are here up on the screen. We'll start with the 1.3 million visitors in 2024. So what does that mean? Visitors basically mean the more users, the larger the reach. So if that way, if someone's looking at your content, they can know how helpful the size of your audience and be able to graph traffic over time and the growth that it's taking. Next would be the 2.2 million sessions. That's a little bit different than your users. So basically what that means is the higher the sessions, the more people are interested in certain content. So if there's a crime story that sadly happens in one of our cities, we know people want to know about certain crime stories that happen, or a good feel-good story that happens. You know, that way your audience, what they were looking at. Next, I'll go to the play of the week. So play of the week is for our sports team. They pick 4 plays during that certain sports season that happened the last week, and that following week they pull the plays and then it's put up, so it's done by a popular vote. So it's figuring out, is it, right now we have some hockey and basketball since we're getting into playoffs, and alpine skiing, so people, most of the time it's kids, are picking which one they want to be the winner from the following week. I'll go to my next slide. Next is YouTube. Not only do you have your website, which is a big traffic for us, but then you also have YouTube. So if you don't want to read your story, you can watch your story, which a lot of people do. They'll sit on YouTube for hours. So starting with, we have 2 different YouTube channels. One is the CCX Community TV news channel. This is where all the sports, news, and city stories live. And with that, there is also the sports channel. This is where all our games, so everything from volleyball to wrestling, all happen on those pages. So there's 2 different ways people can watch. They can watch the sports game, or they can listen to the stories. Going with the sports YouTube channel, our biggest channel poll would be the volleyball games. So with the volleyball games, one of the biggest things with volleyball is we're known nationally. We're allowed to post the state championship from this last fall onto the page, because the Minnesota High School League has rules that we have to follow. I see people from comments that come from Ohio to Texas. Minnesota has such a high ranking when it comes to volleyball for girls that we get people pulled from all around. So that's also very exciting for us as well. So other sports, not as much, but volleyball is a big thing for us. The exciting thing is now boys volleyball is now a sanctioned sport in the state of Minnesota. So coming up here in the spring, that will be an exciting thing to touch on. And then I will go down to my last one. So Instagram, this is a big thing that I've been working on this last year. This Instagram page is fully supported by sports, or it's all the content is all the sports channel stories that we have. So the reason why I decided to make this was we weren't tapping into a demographic that we normally have. Instagram is mostly kids. They're usually people 18 and under. Before, we would put stuff on Facebook, and that's great, but it's parents and grandparents who are seeing that, not so much the kids who were reporting on. So with Instagram, it's by posting, you can post videos, which are called Reels, and you can also post pictures, like the one that is up on the screen. I went to the Maple Grove versus Champlain Park section volleyball game, which was this last October. So I took some pictures and I posted them the next day, and just saying some shots that you can see from the game that will be posted on our YouTube page later today. So it gets people engaged, and here's some pictures, but then you can go and watch the video, which was a really great game, by the way, that they can go and watch later on their own time, which a lot of people do watch. You can watch them on your TVs, the games from YouTube, I should say. All right. I think that's everything I have to cover.
All right. Thank you very much, Haley, for the work that you do. We appreciate it. And finally, I just want to wrap it up with our sponsors and donors for the last year. We did have 26 individual donors. But these three organizations really stepped up to be bigger sponsors. Topline Financial Credit Union, the American Legion, and I will specify that's the American Legion in Osseo, Maple Grove. It was a supporting sports sponsor this year, and then Experience Maple Grove supported our winter sports in early 2024. So if you go and visit any of these organizations or know someone, please say thank you. And I will say the Osseo Maple Grove American Legion is a great place to stop by for lunch. So there you go. And you can say CCX sent you there when you go. So I believe that wraps up our annual report. I am happy to answer any questions before recommending it for approval.
Any questions? All right. You want me to make a formal motion to accept?
Accept it, yes.
So looking for a motion to accept the annual report. Okay, we have motion. Any comments? I don't think so.
Mr. Chair, could I make a comment?
Sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to say congratulations again to CCX and all the hardworking staff on all the great work that you put in. These awards and the accolades that you achieve are well-deserved. We absolutely appreciate the coverage that you give to the hyper-local news and information and activities and events and sports programs that happen in our communities that we wouldn't otherwise get from larger news affiliates. So you do top quality work and we appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
I'd also like to throw in huge thanks and some pretty impressive numbers from the social media team. I mean, that's when you start looking at those numbers and those views and that traffic that's being generated, that's really helping support a lot of things. So well done. Yes. Well done. And any other comments? Okay, all in favor of approving the report? Aye. Opposed? Great. Information item, introduction of new Community Media Center Coordinator.
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to have Adam Estrom stand up over there, and he is our new community media coordinator, so he will be supervising and running the Create department. We were really looking for a needle in a haystack with this position, and we found one with Adam. He's got commercial television production experience, he's got newsroom experience, some engineering experience, and nonprofit. He's been a youth pastor experience under his belt. And so he kind of had all of the pieces that we made us think that he's going to be a perfect fit over here. He started on February 4th, and his assignment for the next couple of months are the 2 L's, listen and learn. There's a lot of cables and cords in this place, and he's got to figure out where they all go. And he also has to get to know our volunteers that come in and produce content regularly. So we are very happy to have Adam on board. Thank you, Adam.
Welcome, Adam.
Welcome.
All right, before I go to adjournment, I just want to let everybody know if there's anything you'd like to talk about at the Board of Directors meeting, please get that to Executive Director in advance of the meeting so that we can adequately prepare rather than, having to try to say, I don't know. So there was an intentional move to remove the other aspect of it just so we can be more prepared for our meeting. So after that, I'd like to go ahead and accept a motion for adjournment. All right, we have a motion. It's really a non-debatable item, so all in favor? Aye. Opposed? I'm always waiting for somebody to say they want to stay. Motion accepted. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you at 8:12.